Hey everyone, Kate Bora and Fiona Pearman joining you for this week's Facebook Live. And this month, actually, we're going to be talking all about courageous action. And I think this is a really important one. One of the core philosophies of our work in core confidence is that the act of confidence comes before the feeling of confidence. And we know that every time we take action, we get information around what worked and we should do more of, information around maybe what didn't work and we should do less of. So action and movement is the goal here. What we don't want to have happen, but we see happen a lot, is procrastination, indecision. And while we're in those moments, while we're there, we tend to feel stuck. We unsure of ourselves, we become even more unsure of ourselves. And of course, the more that happens, the less likely it is that we're going to move into action. So we know that action is crucial. I think, Fee, what we want to start to talk about, though, is it's the safe action versus that courageous action.
I think this is the opportunity we all have, is to start to notice when I've got an opportunity or when something's ahead of me or when I'm thinking about what I'd like to do next. What am I orienting towards? Am I more heading towards the things that feel easy, are not that risky? Is it the things that, it's just basically the next logical step, rather than having a slightly bigger vision or a slightly bigger idea of where I'd like to go, and being more conscious of what is it that I'm choosing, and then just starting to question ourselves. If we're choosing a safer option, is it that, I'm really worried about the risk of failing? What's at risk here? What am I concerned about? And what we know about this is when we choose those smaller, safer goals, we tend to, we're so worried about what might happen or what might go wrong, but we're also risking not achieving all that we could. And, the upside is much smaller when we take that safe goal rather than lean into and be a little bit courageous and take an action that feels a little bit uncomfortable. It usually does. I mean, if we're talking about courage here, it's not necessarily the easiest thing to do, but it's also something that we know each time we do it, we get fueled and we can then show up with more courage the next time.
Yeah, I think, we're not talking about every minute of every day taking courageous action. I think there's a time and a place. And there's a time and a place for small acts of confidence, small steps that keep us moving forward. And so it absolutely is about both. I think what we've noticed in the past, we've been talking with clients around setting goals and priorities, is that what they really want, what they really hold for might be a promotion, might be a negotiating a $10,000, $20,000 pay rise, really being remunerated in a way that is worth their contribution. That's what they really want. And when we start talking about what the goal might be, they might talk about building brand and profile with a senior stakeholder or getting some more experience. And that's a milestone step towards achieving that big, courageous goal. And what we want to hold for here when we talk about this month is, setting courageous goals, right? Really the stretch, and that alignment with what we truly want. And then setting about creating a plan to move towards achieving that goal. But I think, this distinction in starting to bring consciousness to where am I playing small and safe? Why am I doing that? What's going on for me? What am I afraid of? And really starting to shine a light on some of that, because in our experience, that's why it does take us longer to achieve some of those career goals, because, we've got a whole lot of rules and stories around what needs to be present, or, what being ready looks like in order to be able to feel like we're able to put ourselves in those situations to go after those sort of really big stretch goals.
Yes, so there's so much available to us if we're just willing to try and experiment and play with what is the bigger piece I could do here. We're heading towards the end of 2021. If you were to play a bigger game in 2022, if you were to start to think about what might be possible for you, where might you do more, where might you say more, where might you step into bigger opportunities? That's what we're excited to support women with. That's what our work is. And we'd love for you to start to think about and to be that, 20, 30% braver than maybe you are now. Step out of the safe goals as you think about what might be possible for you in the coming year.
Yeah, and of course there's risk with, you know, courageous action, but there's also the equivalent upside. Our work is all about resourcing you to lean into and mitigate that risk, navigate, you know, things when they don't go according to plan, but really to secure that upside. So we're going to wrap it there. If you have enjoyed today's confidence conversation, please feel free to share this with your network. If you'd like to know when we go live or access a whole bunch of other resources, head over to our Facebook page. Loads of videos and content resources for you to look at there. And if you'd like to go deeper with your relationship with Core Confidence, visit coreconfidence.com.au.